The e-commerce halo effect and why nothing works in isolation. So many brands say to us, Amazon isn't working, TikTok isn't profitable, and ads are eating up our margins. But the point here is you shouldn't be looking at each channel in isolation. Sometimes it's not the channel that isn't working, it's the way you're measuring it. So I'm going to be talking today about how you should be looking at each channel and what role each channel brings, so you can look at things differently when you're really evaluating whether that platform is working and successful for your brand. So what's a halo effect? When I talk about the halo effect, what I mean by that is you might have a customer that's shopping on TikTok Shop, or they might be looking at your products or just some images that you're or video content that you've got on Instagram. Now, what can then happen is the customers then, right, okay, I want to know more about your product. So they get your brand name and then they go to Amazon and then they type in your brand name, see your products come up and make a purchase on Amazon. So what is happening there is the awareness came from another channel, but the sale came from Amazon. And so that's the part that's really important that brands need to be looking at, is not assuming just because you've got your products and they're selling on TikTok Shop that your sale is going to come from there. It could come from elsewhere. At the same time, it's not about thinking that Amazon's driving everything, because the part that you might not be seeing is that start of the customer journey. They may have seen your product on Instagram, or they may have actually even seen it in a physical store. So that's when I talk about the halo effect. And it's really important to be aware of that, because last thing that you want to do is switch off a channel because you don't think it's working, when in fact it actually is driving the awareness. It's just not driving a sale within that platform. Each platform is going to have a role. And what I mean by that is Instagram is a social platform. TikTok is a social platform, unless we include TikTok Shop, and then it turns into social commerce. Amazon is a transactional website. It's a marketplace where people are going onto Amazon to make a purchase. And the reason why I bring that up is because when a customer is in contact with your brand on Instagram, they're very much at the top of the funnel. It's all about awareness. It's all about getting that person interested in your product. Then they're going to start getting that interest. Let's say they're like, oh, wow, I love that video or that image. They're drawn in by the image. They want to know more. They might click on it. They might click on that image and it takes them to your website, or it takes them to the Amazon listing. And then they're going further down that funnel. They're then being more enticed, and they might even have some intent where they want to make that purchase. And the reason why I'm highlighting that is you can already see that socials has a different role to your transactional website. Now, the part that gets confusing is when we talk about TikTok Shop and social commerce, because effectively it has two roles. You've got the social part, which is driving awareness, and then you've got the commerce part that's more transactional. And so when you're looking at social commerce, you're going to look at some results and some KPIs that you would see on socials, the awareness, how many views you're getting, what's the engagement like on your video content. But then also you're going to be looking at sales. But your ROI is going to be different. Your KPIs are going to be different. And that's a mistake brands make, is that brands will say, oh, well, because it's TikTok Shop, I expected a certain amount of sales on that platform, and almost the amount of sales that they get on Amazon. And they're not seeing that, or they're not seeing the profitability that they have on Amazon or on their website. It's the same on TikTok Shop, for example. And then all of a sudden they pull the plug. Or they're on socials and they're saying, our Meta ads are too expensive, our Google ads are too expensive, and then they pull the plug. What happens then, Amazon sales start to plummet. And then it's like, well, why are our sales dropping? Your sales are dropping because effectively all the different channels that you had around you that were driving awareness have effectively been stopped. And I think that's the biggest challenge and problem with brands, is that still so many look at platforms like Amazon in isolation and think that all the sales on Amazon are coming because they're driving and running sponsored ads, they might be doing display ads, etc., and thinking that those are the only tools that are really driving the results, when in fact it could be so many other pieces of activity that the brand's doing in socials, on TikTok, even in their physical stores, on Google Ads, that's actually driving that traffic to Amazon. Because typically customers will find a product on a website and check it on Amazon as well. They'll find a product in a store. They might go and check a review on Amazon and see it cheaper and make a purchase there. So that's where brands can often make those mistakes when they want to start going lean, they want to cut back, and they start chopping all these channels without actually looking at the attribution, without looking at the data and really understanding the impact all these other channels are having on their overall sales. Now, the one biggest challenge is I'm talking about data. Now, yes, it would be fantastic to have a report and have a system that says this sale came from this start of the journey and this sale came from this start of the journey. But what you'll find is a lot of the reports, a lot of the data out there is fragmented. Yes, you'll be able to get some reports that give you some idea of the attribution, but it's really difficult. It's like a customer comes into a store, they purchase an item within the store. Was that the first time they saw the product, or could it be the second or third time? But there's no way you're going to know whether the customer saw your product before they purchased it in store, unless you do a survey or ask them. And that's the part that we won't always know about. But the great thing is that we have more data when it comes to online. So whilst the data isn't exactly where it needs to be, it is better than working with physical stores. So I guess the key message here and what I'm talking about overall is just making sure that when you are looking at any channel online, whether it be Amazon, TikTok Shop, your socials, and you're deciding whether or not you should continue with those channels because they might not be bringing in the margin that you have or that you need, make sure that you don't just pull the plug straight away. Make sure that you're looking at the overall correlation between all of those platforms, because chances are when you've done certain activity on socials or you've done certain activity on TikTok, you're seeing your sales go up on Amazon or your direct-to-consumer website. So I love talking about the halo effect all the time, and that's partly down to us as an agency, e-commerce nurse, is when we talk with brands. Yes, we are experts when it comes to Amazon and TikTok Shop, but we don't look at each of those platforms in isolation. So we might have clients that we're working with on Amazon alone, but we still want to understand their overall activity online and across all their e-commerce channels, because we know that they might be doing something on another channel that could impact Amazon and vice versa. So if you want to know more about how we can help you and just sort of look at things differently, more holistically when it comes to your e-commerce channels, make sure you reach out to us at ecommercenurse.com.